Imagine standing in the marble halls of a Macedonian palace, about to witness one of antiquity's most unsettling wedding ceremonies. The linen robes chafe your skin as you observe a woman adjusting the golden diadem that crowns her as queen. Her hands tremble, not from fear, but from fury she must choke down like bitter wine. Through the palace's marble columns in Pella, Macedonian nobles gather in the courtyard below, their voices rising in celebration of what they believe is her triumph. If only they knew the truth. You're watching ArsinoeII, one of the ancient world's most formidable women, marry her half-brother Ptolemy, known as Cyrannus, the Thunderbolt, for his swift and ruthless ambition. He stands beside her, his arm possessively around her waist, his grip too tight, his smile too sharp. The wedding crown he placed on her head feels like a shackle. He promised safety for her sons, vowed to name them heirs to his usurped Macedonian throne, but his eyes betray a hunger, not for a wife, but to eliminate rivals. Her 3 sons from her first marriage threaten his rule, and despite his honeyed words, the scent of blood lingers on his hands. Priests chant in Greek, invoking Zeus and Hera to bless this union. How ironic, those divine siblings whose marriage poets celebrate, while the nobles ignore the revulsion in her eyes. This isn't the first time Arsinoe has been traded like a jewel to secure an alliance. At 15, her father Ptolemy handed her to Lysimachus, a man old enough to be her grandfather. Now, at 40, she's currency again. The wine tastes like ash in her mouth during the ritual toasts, yet the court rejoices. But she's already scheming. If 25 years in the treacherous waters of Hellenistic politics have taught her anything, it's that survival demands more than beauty or bloodline. It requires cunning, patience, and a willingness to meet the gods' demands. As Cyrannus raises his cup to toast their union, you glimpse her eldest son, Ptolemy, in the crowd. Unlike his younger brothers, he refused to come to Pella, sensing the trap his mother, blinded by desperation, walked into. His absence might save him, while her life hangs by a thread. The irony cuts deeper than any blade. Arsinoe, daughter of Ptolemy Soter, who carved an empire from Alexander's fading conquests, has become what her enemies call all royal women, a pawn in men's games. Yet they underestimate what a pawn can become when it reaches the board's far side. Tonight, as Macedonia celebrates its new queen, she sleeps beside a man who sees her as a stepping stone to legitimacy, her children as obstacles to remove. But he doesn't know who he's married. He doesn't know the blood of Alexander's successors runs in her veins, or that she survived courts more perilous than his, or that she's already weaving a web to save herself, or destroy them all. Before diving into this forgotten tale of survival and sacrifice in the shadow of the pyramids, if you enjoy uncovering the hidden truths of history's powerful dynasties, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more stories like this. Please comment below to share where you're listening from. I'm amazed we're exploring these ancient tales together, connected across time and space by our fascination with the cost of power and the women who paid it. Arsinoe's story begins not with love or desire, but with the cold calculus of empire. Born around 316 BCE in the gleaming new city of Alexandria, she entered a world where bloodline was both privilege and cage. Her father, PtolemaicEgypt Soter, one of Alexander the Great's trusted generals, had helped carry the conqueror's body from Babylon and carved a kingdom from the chaos that followed. The city of Alexandria in Arsinoe's childhood bustled with endless possibilities. As the great library rose to prominence, it invited scholars from around the world, eager to bask in the knowledge it housed. The harbor was filled with ships from India and Arabia, bringing exotic goods like silk, spices, and ivory, creating a vibrant trade center. Behind the marble facades and spirited philosophical debates, a palpable tension coursed through Alexandria, the Ptolemaic dynasty in a constant struggle to prove their legitimacy as they ruled over a culturally rich Egyptian land. Arsinoe grew up amidst this complexity, fluent both in the Greek spoken in her palace and the Egyptian language she learned from her caretakers. She often witnessed ancient rituals in the temple precincts, honoring deities and practices that had endured for 3,000 years, and recognized how Egypt's traditions set it apart from other Hellenistic kingdoms. Underpinning this uniqueness was the fact that in Egypt, the king held divine status, a concept that governed traditions of marriage and bloodline. Egyptian priests narrated tales of Isis and Osiris, divine siblings whose union was integral to the cosmic order, a union revered by Egyptians but frowned upon by Greek sensibilities. The critical turning point for Arsinoe came at age 15 in 301 BCE. The fight among the Diadochi for control over Alexander's fragmented empire persisted, and Lysimachus, king of Thrace, was in search of allies. This need for alliances coincided with her father's desire to fortify his eastern borders. A marriage, thus, was orchestrated between Arsinoe and Lysimachus, a leader 55 years her senior, who had earned accolades fighting alongside Alexander, and whose battlefield scars spoke volumes of his past encounters, including his infamous battle with a lion, which earned him his nickname. For young Arsinoe, Lysimachus was both awe-inspiring and enigmatic. Their wedding took place in Sardis, former capital of the Persian Empire, and it was an opulent affair. Nobility filled the hall, their conversations bouncing off the gilded walls in harmonious cacophony. Draped in Egyptian linen dyed with Tyrian purple and with her dark hair adorned with a glimmering diadem, Arsinoe embodied youthful beauty and intelligence, masking her fear with flickering potential. Lysimachus, placing a ring on her finger with hands that once assisted Alexander, recited vows steeped in ancient Greek tradition. However, his gaze held less romance and more calculation. This union underlined strategic interests rather than emotional ties. It was a treaty etched into flesh. The wedding feast unraveled over 3 days, cut from the fabric of luxury, with poets lauding Arsinoe's resemblance to Helen of Troy and Penelope. Melodious tunes from harps and flutes drifted throughout, and dancers offered their artistry to entertain the nobles. Yet beneath this opulence lay an undeniable truth. Arsinoe's status had transformed from Egypt's princess to Thrace's queen, casting her into the whirlwind of Hellenistic political games. The court of Lysimachus was riddled with danger, locked amidst Thracian tribes in the north, the Seleucid Empire lurking to the east, and vigilant Diadochi aligned to the south. Arsinoe, slowly uncoiling tact and wisdom, realized that survival required not only beauty, but a keen perception of power currents, knowing when to maneuver forward or retreat, when to voice an opinion or hold her tongue. Observing courtiers like a hawk, she deciphered alliances and betrayals hidden beneath the veneer of noble smiles. Within a year, Arsinoe was with child. Her son, Ptolemy, arrived in 299 BCE, ushering profound changes into her life. She was no longer merely a wife or a queen. She was a mother heralding a new dynasty, a foundational role magnified by the birth of 2 more sons, Lysimachus in 297 BCE and Philip in 294 BCE. This bolstered her influence but plunged the royal lineage into succession turmoil. Lysimachus's firstborn, Agathocles, stemmed from an earlier union with a commoner. As Arsinoe's sons matured, whispers reverberated through the court's corridors. Would the kingdom's future lay in the hands of Arsinoe's descendants, Egypt's legacy, or Agathocles, the son of common lineage? Consequently, Arsinoe stood as a pivotal figure at the heart of intricate court intrigue. Her every articulations and gestures meticulously examined for concealed significance. By 283 BCE, her firstborn Ptolemy touched age 16, reaching the succession age aligning with Greek customs. In 281 BCE, the tides of fate changed dramatically for Arsinoe, a powerful figure caught in the tumultuous politics of her era. StrongWomen, seizing an opportunity to expand his influence, launched an invasion of Anatolia under the guise of avenging Agathocles. At the famed Battle of Corupedium, the elderly king Lysimachus met a grim fate, his life extinguished amidst the chaos of combat, leaving his kingdom vulnerable and scattered. Arsinoe, now widowed at 35, found herself in a precarious position, faced with the daunting task of protecting her 3 sons without the security of an army. With Seleucus' forces drawing near, she took bold steps to gather her loyal supporters and her treasure, transforming from queen to refugee as she fled in disguise. In a turn of events, her half-brother Ptolemy Cyrannus, residing in Seleucus' court as an exile, outmaneuvered Seleucus, assassinating him and claiming Macedonia's throne for himself. His unexpected ascension came with a proposal to Arsinoe, offering her marriage and the promise of securing her son's line. Though she was acutely aware of Ptolemy Cyrannus' duplicitous nature, Arsinoe found herself cornered, sending her eldest son to safety and accepting the political marriage. The wedding was a spectacle, but its grandeur masked the sinister intentions of Ptolemy Cyrannus. On their very wedding night, the treachery unraveled. Her sons Lysimachus and Philip, mere teenagers, were brutally murdered by Cyrannus soldiers right before her eyes. The marble floors of Pella bore witness to their bloodshed, and while Arsinoe's heart cried out in anguish, her mind steeled for survival. Escaping under the guise of a servant, Arsinoe utilized her devoted followers to evade capture, making her way to the sacred island of Samothrace. The island, protected by ancient religious practices, offered her a temporary sanctuary beyond the grasp of power-hungry forces. Eventually reaching the safety of Alexandria, Arsinoe confronted her brother Ptolemy II, who had since ascended as pharaoh. Their meeting was a tense moment between a ruler and a sister turned hardened survivor. In a move as bold as it was scandalous, Ptolemy II divorced his wife to marry Arsinoe, embracing the divine traditions of sibling unions in ancient Egyptian lore. Their union was consecrated amid the majestic setting of Memphis Temple, where Arsinoe donned the double crown and Ptolemy II wielded symbols of Egyptian kingly power. As the divine sibling-loving gods, Theoi, Philadelphoi, they seamlessly merged Greek and Egyptian cultures, securing their reign through both divine and political imagery. Arsinoe's impact on Egypt was enduring. She established a new paradigm of queenship, blending the divine and temporal realms, which future queens, including Cleopatra VII, would emulate. Her legacy extended beyond her death at the age of 46 in 270 BCE. Her deification and subsequent cult transcended time, celebrating her as Arsinoe Philadelphus, leaving her mark on coins and temple iconography. Through her story, Arsinoe exemplified resilience in the face of adversity. Her journey from vulnerability to deification illustrated the transformative power of ability molded by pain, leaving behind a dynasty defined by her pioneering relationship and rule. Despite the sacrifices she bore, her sons, her innocence, her humanity, Arsinoe rose from pawn to sovereign, reminding us that even in the most challenging of times, strength can be cultivated from hardship.